I think with the current administration that we have, countries are going to start moving faster to build their own stuff.
Speaking of that, there's one company in the world that creates jock straps for plus size men, and they're in Australia. And I just ordered $80 worth of jock straps from them. And guess who's not getting those jock straps now?
You said?
Guess whose ass is not going to look fat and juicy in a nice new jock strap? Me, because they won't ship it because of Trumpy Dumpy.
I love you, Dr. We are not recording that. That is wild.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
Can we tag the White House on that?
This probably will end up being the funniest podcast that we tape, and we've needed one because all the other ones have been very much confined to like business and entrepreneurship, which we're going to get into. But I really did want to kind of bring out a whole group of characters. And the first thing I want to mention is, Marcey, thank you so much for letting us use your awesome art collective that you've got here at Culxr House. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how this got started, how you got involved with it, and a little bit about like your journey, from, your childhood to where you grew up to, I want it all, bro.
Shoot.
Tell me what you about.
Yeah. Look, happy to have you here. Everybody, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Nice to meet you and be in your space.
But yeah, we're at the wonderful Culxr House. Some call it the legendary Culxr House. We've been around for about 6 years now, right? As a creative space.
Time flies.
Time does fly when you're having fun, is what they say, because this is, it's all been fun, but it's happened so quick too, though. Like I said, started this probably about like 6 years ago. Myself, I'm a recording artist and a beat maker. So I kind of just, grew from that, from just building studios, right? Recording for myself, and then just gaining more space, right? And then just being able to lend it to other artists and creatives to be able to live out projects or to be able to participate in learning experiences so they could get better or get more information, because access to information in neighborhoods like this is very important. Information, technology, and just the ability to have a space where you can just like grow, So that's kind of the importance of it, which was just part of the 24th Street redevelopment plan, right? Activating spaces,
right?
Bringing arts and entertainment, but then trying to have growth, right? So that's kind of how Culxr House really got started, and how we able to, sustain ourselves,
I mean, just from the name itself, it obviously has a self-explanatory nature to it. Culxr House, it's a place where, you can come and be safe, but also, spread, community culture, things like that. And the way you spell it and everything like that, just, it exudes, individuality and artistic expression, things like that. Why do you think that that's so important for, this area in particular? And, have you seen the growth that you're looking for? You getting there?
Like, I'm so close to it, And so you're more like judgmental about things, and you have a vision on like how you want to grow, like the rate you want it to grow at and what that looks like, But in reality, it looks nothing like that. So like, yeah, I'm very happy about the growth we've had. Like, things have went definitely like not the direction I first thought, but you got to see what happens though. Like in business, especially like when you're like in community though, right? In a community, not like creating a community, right? Which we've been able to create a community within a community, but we try to cater to what are the needs around like the people that actually like live in this area, but that really, access to space and things. So, which means we have to care about people's well-being, right?
Right.
Have to care about their personal lives.
Right. Because
We,
what else? I mean, what else is community for?
all that's first before you can even get to
100%.
the art and like
Yeah.
the creating stuff. You know
I
what
mean,
I mean?
it's hard to create art on hungry on a empty belly. I mean, if you're hungry, like it's hard to learn. It's hard to do anything if you're struggling. And then it's hard to even like just get out of bed and do the things that you need to do if you've got all these other problems that are forcing you into maybe things that you shouldn't be getting into. And then forget art, forget the community, because now you're being selfish. But I think that's why like I've loved kind of what you've been doing here specifically, because it's not just about the playing the music, putting paint to wall or all this stuff. It really is about what it takes to get there. In other words, the journey. Because there are people that maybe aren't artists. They're skaters. You've got fashion designers, because you're doing all kinds of stuff here. It's not just the one thing. It kind of embodies all of it. Like maybe David do a comedy show here one of these days. Do a little stand-up thing, because I do. That was like the impetus of this, was to show how diverse, but also how like nationally recognized a lot of people in this town. They're moving and shaking. They're doing some big things, and like you've been on some big stages with some shared the stage with some big people. Tell me about your music a little bit, and then we'll open it up.
I just announced the tour.
What?
So West Coast tour.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the kickoff show is actually September 8th.
Okay.
I don't know when this is going to air, right? But September 8th at the Slowdown. You guys are invited. I'll put y'all on the guest list.
This will be out before then. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah. I love it.
But yeah, I'll be doing 10 cities through the West Coast. So music has been cool. You know what I'm saying? It's been good. It's been good to me through this whole experience. I've been able to, connect Culxr House, still be able to, be the artist. You know what I mean? I think that, at times people can like lose that when they're going into entrepreneurship. You know what I mean? Because that's what this is. You know what I mean? So I've been able to keep these things tight, man. And the name of the tour is a Culxr Connect tour. So you see how I'm able to draw the the connections, but building other cities with other creative leaders. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In that space, man.
It's important.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the minute you kind of silo yourself into that one thing, you're doing yourself a disservice by not opening yourself up to other experiences, other people, other other avenues. Because you might learn something about yourself, and that helps your mission grow. So, Sarah, you're the. Forgive me for saying this, but the quintessential artist, right, in this room, right? You're like the actual, like you do all the things. You put the paint to wall, literally, right? And that was another reason I wanted to have you specifically here in a space that really, fosters that. Can you give me a little bit about like what brings you to where you are right now, and where your influence is at the moment?
Man, I am all over the place with projects at the moment.
I love it. Tell us.
All over the place.
I love-
because she
I
is
love
really the
working big.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I appreciate you guys.
She's very humble. She's very, very humble.
I like working big. I like working small. I've been really, in this current moment, trying to find a balance between just my studio practice and focusing so that I know what I'm making is authentic and connecting in the ways that I'm feeling pulled to. I love collaborating. I love building environments. Working big requires a lot of extra hands and minds. So that's really energizing for the work I do in my studio, which is more solitary. So I kind of like the back and forth of that. I'm trying to find a greater balance there in general. So, but it's been fun. It's been a ride, especially the past couple of years. So.
What's the entrepreneurship, the business aspect? Like, when I think of art, I think of how I love it, but how are we going to sell this? Like, how do you put money in your pocket? Let's put it that way. I'll just be more direct.
I just trust the universe.
Okay.
I'm like,
period.
if I were to do anything else, I would probably have a nervous breakdown. Like I cannot be in a building, the same building all day. I can't, like, I need to explore, I need to create, I need to connect. And I've just trusted the process. It's like, I don't always know what's going to happen next week or next month. I try not to panic, and then the next thing just comes. It's been just trusting the creative process carries you through. Like I just heard somebody say last week, it's like, how do you know when you're on your path? It's when you can't see it anymore. And I really believe in that. Like,
That was a bar.
That's deep.
That's a new lyric. That's a new lyric.
There you go.
That is a bar. That is a
and
bar.
it's true for all of us. Like you can't, like we shouldn't, I mean, we should care about the future and our impact, but we can't live for the future. We have to live right now. So I'm like, what's exciting? Like what's feeding my spirit? What's like, who's pushing me in ways where I'm like, I don't know what this is going to look like at the end, you know? And quite often I don't. So, I mean, it's the same when I start a painting. It's like, I might start with like a mark or a color just to open up the space, but I'm like, you can always layer over it. No one will ever know that mark was there, but that was the thing. It's just kind of like an exclamation mark. It's like, I don't know what this is, but it's, for me, it's literally planting seeds. And that's how all my work begins.
I love that.
I love it. And then when other people want to join me on the ride, I'm like, let's go. Like, let's just see how big we can make this thing.
That's very cool. And that was another reason why I wanted it, because I was just like, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to, film some of your work or find out, just because I find a lot of the stuff that you do fascinating, but also, I don't know a lot. I just know what you put out sort of on social media and what other artists you've worked with have put out there. But do you want to talk a little bit about like your growing up, your youth, and then, a little bit about your native heritage?
Yeah. So, I'm an Omaha human. I grew up here. I've escaped many times. Omaha pulls you back in. Sure. I love it. I was like, what am I going to do with an art degree in Omaha? Never thought I'd stay here. And now I can't get away.
Did you have a going away party?
I didn't go that far.
Okay.
No.
Well, at least I know at least 4 people that had a going away party,
and then came
and
back.
6 months later they were.
Yeah, and it's a build up for a year, and then I know.
Guys, I'm getting out of here.
Right?
Sure you are.
You went on vacation. Welcome back. So I actually grew up in North Omaha in Florence.
Oh, okay.
And my first art studio, my dad built on my front porch when I was like 2 and 3 years old. So it was just always part of the path. So I love this whole 24th Street corridor is amazing. The bridges that are being built around the community. Sure. It's the energy of it. I love seeing it come to life the way it has over the past handful of years. Thank you. You're a huge part of that, obviously. So I started here and escaped, and now I'm back. But I love, now my daughter's in college, so I'm able to kind of explore more again. So I've done some residencies and shows around the country, and it's been great to connect with the larger audience in that way, to have those opportunities. I've been looking forward to that. So
Have and I mean I don't know enough about it, so that's why I wanted to see if you wanted to tell me a little bit about like your your native culture and things like that, like a little bit of Native American. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I find it fascinating.
It's a secret. No, it's not secret.
No, I knew it wasn't, because you posted a bunch of stuff, and I don't know I don't know enough about it. I've got like 1/8 or something. My great grandmother or something. Maybe
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know, right? Everybody, right? But
it's all of us on this couch.
That's why you're right. That's why I'm like ignorant to it. So, but I find it extremely fascinating, and that was kind of one of the questions. Just as as observer, I wanted to kind of know about. If you want to tell me about it or what it's like.
So I'm Lakota, and I'm an enrolled member of the Ponca Tribe of Nebraska.
Okay,
so
cool.
we are on unceded Ponca territory right now. So I love this reclamation of space with artists. I think that's really important to tap into the sacredness of this land and the play of it, the curiosity. It's like our resilience. We tap into that. So it's an endless well of inspiration and storytelling, and we're a part of that story. So I think a lot of my work is inspired by my heritage, even if it's not like overtly there. I grew up with ceremony, and I bring ceremony into my work. I smudge my work before I hang it.
Okay. What's that? What is that? I guess what does that mean? Smudging.
Using plant medicine to
really?
to bless or cleanse
very
or
cool.
set it off on his journey. You know,
I love it.
So yeah, I bring that into my work in small, intimate ways, and also larger spaces, like bringing in collaborations with the community, or like creating some sort of call to action or participatory element in my work. Like I feel like that's bringing ceremony and ritual into my work and breathing life into it in a way that is really meaningful, and it just invites that shared storytelling. It invites people to participate. It's not just something that you witness or look at or walk around. It's like these are living creations, the things that we make. So I love inviting people to interact in interesting ways. And all that is definitely tied into the inspiration of like Lakota ceremony and smudging.
That's very cool. Okay. Yeah, no, I love it. I learned something new. Smudging, that's another bar. You knew what smudging was?
Yeah, I did.
Dang,
Yeah, I think you might just be
I'm
you.
the only one.
I love to sage a space. Like I have saged my car when people have gotten out of it. Like, that's I'm all about it.
Valid.
Well, and as we're talking about energy and being intentional energy, I'll dive in a little bit, particularly around something that you said around acknowledging the sacred that's right here, right? And the sacredness that's in this land. And the reason I wanted to jump in now is because I think this is something that applies to the two of the people that are on the couch. I mean, really to all of us, but particularly like something that the way it shows up in their work and also in mine too, but in that you said, like, honoring the sacredness of this land and the people who have come from here. I think there's something really special when you acknowledge where it is that you are and who's been there in the past, and how to be intentional with that energy and uplifting the energy that's there and acknowledging the power that's already in a space. And the way that Sarah really does put her background, her heritage, her knowledge, it's almost, I feel like, one of these things that when you lean into your ancestry, you are being an ancestor in real time to be able to show people the way. And even in the way that like you like layer the works, it's like it's like the story of like time that happens. And then with Marcey, with Culxr House, like you mentioned earlier, the spelling, right? Like this is also to honor that this is the birthplace of Malcolm X, right? Like there's a lot of powerful energy that is here, and we need to be intentional that we're uplifting the energy that we want to be uplifted in the current time, that we want to put out, so that we can build even more beauty and power as we keep on going forward.
And I think that's always kind of been the challenge too, is, you know, and to be direct, how do we pay our bills through that? That's right. Another part of this that kind of gets, because sometimes people, they'll focus too much on that, right? And they'll forget that what they're doing is it's a project, it's a, you know, collaborative thing. But now we gotta keep the lights on, and now we have to bring, you know, have the people come in and feed them, you know. And but then we also have to put on a show. But we got to hire professionals to help us, you know, film it, light it, do all this stuff, and all those things, you know, not unfortunately, fortunately, take money. So how do we keep that? Give that value, you know, that value proposition.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that really makes the difference between someone who does it as a passion and a hobby and someone who does it as a professional, 100%. Right? Figuring out how to navigate that journey. And I'll just introduce myself just because I'm just talking now. Hey, I'm Andrea Joy Pearson. I'm the founder of Joy Brings Light. It's a leadership development company that shows up in a few different ways, but some of the main ways are through social and emotional development and sound healing and meditation. I'm also an experimental sound artist. And yeah, I like to show up in the ways. I'm a creative who likes to work and play with creatives and say, how do we people better in real time?
She's practiced that before. I think she's done that before a couple times.
Inside of this,
she knows.
Inside of this, I think there are some things that as we continue talking that you'll notice kind of keep coming up, because there are some foundational things that need to be put into place. And one of the things that Marcey said earlier, I think just really touches on it, and that is community, and having an understanding of how to build community, having an ability to be able to listen to what does community want. So when you are someone who's doing it for a passionate hobby, it is very much focused, what do I want? What do I want out of this process? What do I hope comes across? What makes me feel really good? What's speaking to my life? Just what's my vibe kind of today? And doing it on a different level. If you're doing it as a professional, you're doing it for money, you're doing it for impact, you're doing it to build something that's oftentimes outside of yourself. And then it becomes a balance of what does the other side need, want, desire, value. And you have to figure out, how do you align yourself in some capacity that still feels true to you and maintains, here's what I'm about, here's what I want, here's what I hope to create, and here's what the other side has also said, has also shown.
Right. So so you're including them so that it's a give and take situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It has to be.
Because like you said, if it's not a give and take, it can become selfish.
Yep.
And that might last for a little while, but that doesn't generally lead to a longer career. You might have a space where it goes well. And I mean, if you do really well in that space, maybe you can live off that for a long time. But I think generally for a career, you have to have the ability to listen and hear what others want and be able to meet that need.
When you were on last time on the podcast on that first episode, Kevin made that point about how when he'll have to take jobs to pay his bills, like different editing jobs for different things. But if in that day, after he's worked on that project or within that week, if he doesn't create something that he loves, that he wants to do, then it's almost like a wasted opportunity, if you will. It's almost like, okay, I went and did this thing that I, didn't love, but I did it for the paycheck, right? But then I went and did something that fed my soul. Then that job for the paycheck felt worth it. Because just getting money sometimes isn't worth it. Sometimes you feel like, what am I doing? But you got to do what you got to do. But
I've done stand up in many an American Legion hall on a Friday night while people were eating spaghetti.
And we're going to get to you next, because I do want to hear, I want to hear so much about that. Did they keep it on their plate?
Yeah, because I'm funny. I made them laugh. It was like, no, nobody's throwing food at me. And if they did, I would appreciate it, because I would eat it.
Tell us. I need to know.
Right. American Legion spaghetti?
I've never been to American Legions, though. So.
I think above all, I've known Marcey, know Andrea Joy. You two were I was most intrigued about your story. David, I met you for 5 minutes one time last year. Who are you? What do you do?
I was doing a red carpet for a restaurant group too, which is like, on the list of like weird gigs that comedians get. Is up there. You know what I mean? Like 100%. You tell people. And what was interesting is that they asked me, they're like, can you come just host the red carpet? Can you please just ask, the employees were, as they show up, I would ask them, what are you wearing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so who's filming that? And they're like, filming it. I said, yeah, who am I? Am I doing this to camera? And they're like, no. And I said, oh, I'll be doing it to camera.
Yeah.
I'm bringing someone. What am I going to talk to the wall? What are you wearing tonight? And there's no camera. Like I'm not
exactly.
Nobody thought about that.
It was brilliant. Brought his own.
I brought a camera person.
Yeah,
I brought somebody to film. I said, this is a professional operation now. But what was interesting is that you were there to film the rest of it. I was like, why not?
I came super late. This was all last minute for them too.
Oh, I was asked 2 days before.
Yeah. So okay, maybe I was first and then you were, but I was just there doing the event. Just showing the event, and they're like, make sure I got this comedian, he's great, make sure you get a bunch of stuff with him, because all this stuff, I just want to see what it's all about. And I was just like, okay. And then we got there, and he's got his own camera, and I'm like, now I feel uncomfortable, because I'm like, he's doing his own thing, and I'm like, okay, so let me just capture what I can do. It was weird, but Yes.
It's not a good example, but the thing about that is that the only reason I can do things like that is because my initial first steps into comedy, I was working a very boring corporate job, and I'm like, I need something. I feel like I have no purpose right now. So I started taking improv classes, and I just realized that a lot of people that do improv also do stand up. And it became a situation where I was like, well, let me see what this is like. I had no aspirations. I had watched a lot of comedy, but I never really felt as if I was that person that, could actually get up there and talk about it. Because it's a feat, to get people kind of interested in what you're doing. And so once I started doing stand up, I was like, okay, I can figure this out. I can work on it. And I feel like personally, I am a mixture of a lot of things. I wouldn't define myself as a stand-up comedian wholly, because people that are dedicated to that craft specifically, a lot of people in the comedy scene here are really dedicated to it. They're coming up with new hours of material every year. And I'm not like, I just enjoy it as like an opportunity to just make people laugh, honestly, because to just give that back just a little bit and to just get a hobby. Like I just needed to get a hobby. And I in the time doing it though, I realized, as all of you have talked about in various ways, about the community that you've worked with or created or stuff like that, I felt as if I was walking into a community that didn't necessarily exist for somebody like myself. There's plenty of comedians, but the vast majority, if you put comedians in Omaha or in general on a pie chart, they're cis hetero comedians who are all talking about kind of the same thing. So to be like a queer comedian in Omaha, it was very difficult because at the time there were only 5 of us. And that has not grown a lot. I'm still the supreme when it comes to gay comedians in Omaha, but it's one of those things where I eventually had to start creating a community because I was getting asked to do shows and not being able to advance my comedy or get any better at my comedy because I wasn't doing it in front of people that would have appreciated that. So, but in that time, I also realized that my material can't be 100% queer all the time. I gotta conform a little bit. So when I started expand, I had to expand my repertoire as far as my comedy went. Sure. And as soon as I did that, it kind of clicked a little bit more for me. And I was able to let down my barrier of being like, no, I'm gonna just be true to myself and do the only stuff. I found a space of being able to like figure that out. And what I eventually wound up doing was I created a show called Gay as Fuck, which was just a stand-up show that only had queer comedians. And I would go to different spaces around town and have the show.
That's
just
fun,
to create a space.
What spaces are like?
So the first time I ever did it was at the Omaha Mining Company.
Nice.
In the back room, which was this huge space, and it was too big for stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy really thrives in a small room.
Oh yeah. Intimate. Yeah.
But this space was too big. It was way in the back. And then it grew to be this monthly sellout show that I did at the back line. But I had to, even in that situation, it became less and less queer comedians and more just like whoever I could get on the show, because with there only being 4 or 5 of us, you can't just have the same people every month. Yeah. But I was very firm in my rules about the show of like, I wouldn't invite like somebody who does really bad material or anything like that. There's plenty of comedians in the scene, especially right now, who think it's okay to make fun of gay people or reference queer culture or reference a culture that they're not a part of.
In a denigrating way too.
Like in a denigrating way as well. Yeah. And I would never do that.
Yeah,
I'm not up there bashing like straight people at all, as much as I want to. Y'all are messy. But, so anyway, but outside of that, sorry, what did you ask? What do I do?
No. This is. I want this to be an organic conversation.
Can I dive in a little bit with a couple of things that you said? One, you are pretty funny. Okay, we just met today, and I have cracked up multiple times. I think one thing that I will give you really fast, even before I keep going to the other things, is it's really refreshing to be in a conversation with someone and you don't know what's coming next. Like surprising
bad,
things.
Because
I personally am okay with spontaneity, but like surprising things come up, you know. But in that, so I want to dive into a couple of things that you said, and one of them is you were like, oh, I don't know if this was a good example, and I actually was sitting here thinking, I think that was a pretty good example, right? Of like, you got a gig, you heard what they were asking. They weren't necessarily going to supply you with what you thought you needed for it to be at the level that you wanted. So you said, well, instead of me going back to them and like haggling it out and like figuring all that, well, do I have enough money in what I have been able to negotiate to be able to make it happen? And so the thing that I would say in that is, every opportunity you get is an opportunity. Decide where you want this opportunity to be now and later, right then, and then do your best to take care of yourself as you move through that journey. Because just because something lasts for one day doesn't mean that's the end of that opportunity. And this is something that even I'm currently navigating right now, and that's making sure that you get whatever it is that you need for your portfolio moving forward. So whether you need videos, whether you need pictures, whether you need testimonials, whether you want tape testimonials, right? It's up to you to determine what you ultimately want your brand to look like, be like, sound like, feel like. But it is important that you take time to think that through. So when moments come, you know how to meet them well. You know how to meet them well and in the moment, so they can serve you now and later.
And I think Andrea hits on a really good point, because I think the whole purpose of the conversation that I'm looking to sort of suss out of this whole thing is get to know you guys, get to know what makes you tick, all the things that you do. But in the end, so the show's called The Creative Block. And so I oftentimes find myself, and I know all of us do, in this sort of, where do I go next? What's my next, so you find yourself in this creative block where it's like writer's block, where you almost fight yourself. So you almost force yourself into doing something that you're like, okay, this is the next thing. And you get there and it's like, this is not, I'm blocked. Like, I don't really know where it's going. I'm sure every artist, as a writer, as a music producer, as a writer, as a comedian, as a writer, as a, somebody who speaks in front of people and things like that. We've all had that moment where it's like, okay, what's pen to paper? What do I do next? And you kind of maybe force it a little bit. And so I decided, I was like, well, why don't I ask people how they get out of their creative block? Like, how do they get out of that writer's block? How do they get out of that stage fright? How do they get out of, moving to the next step? How do we get there? Do you find that in the music industry right now, I know is, they've made it's constantly shifting. At one point it was like, get these CDs into people's hands. Now it's like, nobody uses them. So how do you get onto Apple Music? How do you get onto the streaming platforms? How are you getting your work to the masses? Like, how do you get out there?
So it's a thing called distribution. So you get with a distribution company. There's like a lot of them out there. So digital distribution, then for your physicals, like if you want your music to go to, let's say, like vinyl or like tape or CD, you know what I mean? And so there's companies that you can go through if you're independent. If you're with like an indie label, okay, right? They'll have that.
Right.
Those connections are ready for you.
Yep.
So therefore you just, you'll just kind of just talk with your rep in terms of what you want to do, what you're trying to do. But, and like these days, more like vinyls come back in, like tapes and stuff like that for like nostalgic reasons or whatever. But like merch, right? So for artists, like music artists, I'm trying myself, like getting into more like merch, like streetwear and stuff like that.
That's
right?
The other, yeah,
doing
right.
like collections and things. Yeah. Like the branding. So, we're able to do that, especially with like, connecting like with Culxr House. We have like so many different kind of like themes and, things that we can go with, in terms of, like with branding. So that's where things are kind of shifting. So
when things are kind of like slow on the music front, or maybe it's not connecting, maybe you don't have, a new album or some new music to drop, like, your expression now, you're almost expressing it in a different way. You're getting out there through, like you said, merch, through also branding by live music. I guess when it comes down to is like, how do you stay busy? Because it's hard. Like it can be a brutal.
You know, it's a blessing. Like, I don't have to worry about that, man. I stay busy, you know, honestly, like I don't have to keep myself busy. I think
so
that
you cracked the code.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe I did. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe I aligned myself with exactly what I'm trying to do. So
okay, right.
And have you both experienced, because you both kind of talk about the idea of like the universe just kind of bringing you work, and like, has it always, you've always felt like that? You've never really, like, I am just the anxiety that I have of like, I need to keep my money you know, like I just don't.
Because I don't know when it's coming next.
Yeah. I'm so in admiration of that, because I want a little bit of that. I want to be able to take a step back and look at what I'm doing and be like, all right, okay, you did it.
Or I want people knocking on my door instead of me knocking on theirs, being like, hey, I'm here.
I feel you. Now, honestly, all right. So to what you're saying, you gotta let go of fear, right? So you gotta let go of fear, number one. And that's one thing early on that I had to get over. So you had mentioned, like, how do you talk in front of like crowds and people like that? Like, I had to face that stuff. I had to take, public speaking, theater, you know what I'm saying? Just so I could perform, be better at it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But early on, I was always like just connected to like spirituality and just like signs and alignment and like just things like that is just stuff that I was always into. So manifestation, let me just say that, right? At some point, I really, really bought in. I started to like see results, you know what I'm saying? From just like, sometimes instantaneous, right? But you can't be scared though, because as soon as you ask for something, that shit opportunity just might be there, but you get that little fear in your heart a little bit. So you know what I mean? So you might not jump at it, you know what I'm saying? But on the other side is just that though, you know what I mean? So the more you let go of fear, you'll start seeing all those opportunities. But the longevity in it, I'm not sure how long you've been doing comedy.
11 years.
11 years, right? And you were like, yo, once I decided I would expand, right? More things started opening up, right? Yeah. You know, and I think like that's what happens.
And that's that fear that keeps you.
That part too, right? The fear of like letting go of who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because for the betterment of the brand, it's going to open up so many other avenues in demographics. You know what I'm saying, for you. So I think like once you, and things will probably open up for you know what I'm saying, all kinds of different opportunities and things like that.
And that's definitely, I mean, there is a lot of that. And I learned kind of early on that you stress out about events, you stress out about things that you're, going to speak at, or especially with stand-up, you're like, this is such a big deal. And then you look back on it later on and you're like, it wasn't that big of, like, I can specifically remember the first time I did like a set at the Funny Bone. There was a period of time where it was like, this is the pinnacle. This is the peak of my career. And then just 3 weeks ago, so I work with an actor out of LA who I talk about all the time. Hi, Danny. His name is Danny Franzese. He played Damien in Mean Girls. And I have worked with him since 2018. And I've been his assistant since 2020. And he is talking about community. He is somebody that I met randomly here. And he said, you are a queer voice that does stand up like I do. I'm going to lift you up and give you a platform. And so 3 weeks ago, I was at a show with Margaret Cho.
Wow.
I was at a show with,
That's
so
awesome.
it's just, it's one of those things, but it's one of those things that I have thought so many times, this is the peak. It's not going to get any better it's never going to get better than the Funny Bone on a Thursday night. And then it continues to. So in little ways, in bite-sized pieces, I feel like I am trying to let go of that fear and remind myself that this scary moment I thought I had was really not that bad. So
you canceled me and this podcast for Margaret Cho?
Yeah.
Questionable. Yeah. That's questionable. Questionable businesses.
I want to dive in here, and then I really, really do want to hear Sarah's thoughts on some of this. But I think it's like a perfect time to say, like, you're like, how do y'all do it? I just did it. But in that space of how to do manifestation. So I like to say that I've been very fortunate that my work and my life's passion and mission of helping myself and others walk in our power to utilize our space to create lives that we enjoy in real time. I get to talk about some of these things and say, how do we make it practical, right? In the hard and the soft ways, right? So one of the ways that I describe manifestation in kind of a physicality type of sense is deep alignment. And in that space of getting your mind and your body in alignment. And so once you release that fear, and for me, my 3 values are honesty, vulnerability, and bravery. So being really honest with yourself about what it is that you want, what it is that you want to create, how it is that you want to show up in the world, and then being vulnerable with yourself of asking yourself, well, you know, maybe what has stopped that? Like, how have I become who it is that I am? Like, what's keeping me? Am I afraid of failure, or am I afraid of success? I actually think a lot of people are afraid of, if it goes right, what will that mean?
Yep.
And then how will I be able to maintain that longer term?
I deal with that a lot.
So really having really vulnerable, honest conversations with yourself, and then being willing to be brave, right? So that's like space, like I'm acknowledging the fear, but I'm moving through it anyway. I'm acknowledging I'm scared, but I'm putting my application in, or I'm acknowledging like, I don't know these people, they don't know me, but I'm still going to send them like a message, or I'm going to go up to them, or I'm going to talk to Margaret when I'm at the show and just say, hey, what's up? Like, this is my name. This is kind of what I'm about. I'm really glad I get to be in the space with you. I manifested this moment.
And that's, I mean, that little jump though, that one step in somebody's direction that way, that has been the hardest thing for me to move
But you
past.
seem so good at being able to get in there. I mean,
I'm a Cancer Leo. I'm on the cusp.
Okay.
And so it's very much like my insecurities are my Cancer. My ability to just kind of move past them a little bit is my Leo for sure. And I've done my like human design and all that. And I'm a manifesting generator. Like that's my whole MO. Like, but it's the imposter syndrome that really gets to me.
Yep. Everybody's got a little
Everybody's got
a little bit of that going on for sure.
Well, there's that bravery though. Like move through it. Move through it. But the bravery you talk about, the honesty that comes before it though, for me, that's the hardest part. The being honest with yourself to get to the bravery. You know what I mean? I do. And I think these 3 things together, you can absolutely transform your life. And I mean that whether we're on camera, off camera, I think that these 3 things can absolutely transform your life. Honesty, vulnerability, and bravery. And then in this space of you said like, you know, it feels like this is such a big deal. And then later I'm like, is it? And it can't get any better than this, but can it? And one, it can, it always can. The up and the down is always a possibility. But what I like to lean into in a very practical sense is leaning into systems over goals, right? So a lot of times we're goal thinking. How do I get to the funny bone? How do I get to the show with Margaret Trell? How do I like do this one big project, or, you know, and that's a goal, and that only lasts for a very short amount of time. How do I make $100,000? Like whatever that looks like. That's a goal that only lasts for a quick moment, right? Boom, it's in your bank account. You did it. Now you're on with the rest of your day. Oh, you had that evening. You did that show. Boom, it's done. You did that project. And now it's time for the next day, the next moment to exist. Versus systems where you're figuring out who is it that I am? How is it that I want to show up in the world that will lead me almost like a highway, a pathway? You're on the highway to drive down, and your goals are like exit signs. Your goals are like these things you can drop off, but you come back on the highway. So what does the person that you want to be in your future state that's existing and experiencing that thing, how do they move? How do they talk? What time do they wake up? What are they drinking? Are they having water, or are they drinking alcohol all day, right? Like being honest with yourself of what do I need to actually embody in my daily experience that feels decent to me, that I can also lead me down the path of achieving the things that I most desire. I have to get in alignment with my mind, my body, and my spirit.
I think it's fascinating when you said, you know, honesty, vulnerability, and then it was bravery. you can't have any of those without all three. Like none of those things really exist. You got to be honest. You can't be vulnerable without being honest, right? And you can't be brave without opening yourself up to being vulnerable. So you need all three. It's like the Holy Trinity or something. Like it's like sort of.
I think they're pretty great. I think they're pretty great. So if you don't remember anything else I've said today, remembering that
I'll
honesty, vulnerability, and bravery has the power to change your life for the better. Sarah, I really want to hear your points on manifesting and how you create, because, you know, Sarah's very humble, but Sarah really is the one.
She has, listen, I guarantee this whole conversation, she's got a ton to say. And when she does pick up the mic and start talking, just wait. Spit bars.
Well, what we're really talking about is leveling up. Yeah. And we all have the capacity to do that. We are all creative beings. Like when I talk to kids, I'm like, and I have to talk in all different capacities, and it's my least favorite thing to do because I just like making. I like, make something, set it out into the world. That's my language. So speaking, not my favorite, but I used to be paralyzed with fear. Just speaking, doing an artist talk, whatever. But it's like you do it anyway. I tell kids, like when you want to stay tapped into that, your own personal, authentic, creative self, you don't do things fearlessly. You do things in spite of your fear, and then that is bravery. You know, it's like allowing yourself to be vulnerable for sure. And I think everything we do is just building up this arsenal of experience and things you can tap into. It's like create what you know, and it's like then the next things will come. It's like
and then the more you create, the more you're going to know, and then you know the new thing, and then the next thing. Then you got another fear to tackle when you get to the next level.
There you go. Yeah, it should be a catalyst. It shouldn't paralyze you. Like we are our own worst enemies in that 100%. Way. It's like you just don't do anything. Like doing something is better than doing nothing. So I'm like, allow yourself to fuck up. I'm like, if something gets too precious, then absolutely fuck it up because you're playing it too safe.
I'm with you.
So if you stay with that element of uncertainty and have absolute trust in it, the money comes. The money is just a byproduct of it. If I did things for money, I would just, I could just like make drawings and sell prints and that'd be fine. But what am I really saying? And how am I really spending my time? That'd be playing it safe, you know?
Totally,
so
I agree.
For me, it's like tapping into that arsenal, seeing the sparks of things that really excite or really connect. And sometimes the strangest things that they'll ask you to do the weirdest stuff. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, but I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. I'm like, it's like your childhood self gets to celebrate that, like staying centered in that way. And that sense of curiosity is always there. You know, it never gets boring. So it makes it easy to do the work. I've been a hustler. It has not been easy in that sense because, you know, you start off, nobody knows who you are. It's like, that's real. But you have to trust yourself. And it's like, the world takes notice. If you stay tapped into that, it's like the doors just open. It is like, I just did it. Like, but everything I did along the way, like I make a joke, like I had to work the overnight outage department at OPPD. And I'm like, how can I make this a stepping stone? I stuffed my drawer full of drawing supplies. I'd answer the phone. People yell at me all night. I placed Game of Thrones on the DVD player and I was drawing, getting yelled at, I'm getting paid double time here because I'm going to sell these drawings when I leave, you know? So stuff like that, you know?
It's awesome.
Like everything is part of the process if you do it with intention. Yeah. So I think that just naturally takes you along.
And I find what you do fascinating though, because I think each one of us has sort of a tangible thing that we're sort of selling. Music, filmmaking, exactly. Right. You know, all the things, but yours, you have to sort of like, well, I can do art. I will be there, but the finished product takes kind of a while to finish, right? And it's like, what am I going to get? Like if I'm buying something, what am I going to, well, I don't know yet. You know, you almost have to, they're almost buying you before, because the thing that you're going to create is going to take a while. Like us, I need you to come and, spit a few bars or whatever. I know what that is. I know I'm going to get you for that and you're going to go do it. Same thing. I need you to make us laugh. You're going to get up on stage. You're going to do it.
I'm probably not going to do it.
I actually think in
But I
some
feel like in some ways.
Oh, go ahead.
Well,
I guess they're not really buying us, but they're buying the brand. They're buying the essence.
100%.
But that no matter what you do,
Yeah.
especially if you're an entrepreneur that's like a.
But I just feel like I have something more tangible. I can this is what you're going to get when I show up here. So maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like in my mind, I see you. It's like because you're creating something sort of on the fly. It's a painting or it's a mural that you're going to do. You have an idea. Oh, hey, I need a mural of X, Y, and Z. They have it in their head what they want, but then for you as the artist, you're like, okay, but this is what I do. Do you kind of know what I mean? It's like you can't say this is what it's going to be until it's really done, right?
I think you have to prove yourself to get to that point where another person or entity trusts that you're going to deliver,
exactly.
but they don't. Part of the adventure is not knowing. You have an idea or like a theme or a color palette or whatever, but part of the joy of it is sharing it at the end. Like I have my current show is at the John Michael Culxr Arts Center, and it is the biggest collaboration I've ever done. That it opened this month. It'll be up through the end of January. So please take a road trip to Wisconsin if you can.
No, definitely. Yeah, that's amazing.
I did workshops over the course of a year with people around the community around Sheboygan, and with the Natural School in Omaha here. And we're celebrating. It's all about water. It's a huge community-based meditation on
great.
Water. And I did.
Very cool.
I challenged myself to do 2 of the biggest watercolors I've ever done. They're
cool.
2 12-foot paintings. I was terrified to do that because you can't fuck up watercolor. That paper I was not replacing, So I just had to really focus.
Did you practice on something first, or did you know?
My whole life has been practice.
Okay, there you go. Right.
But yeah, we created this whole portal, this whole world that it's got a soundscape and projections, 50-foot projections on the ceiling. So the whole space is transformed, but it's like people here, they're like, you want to do this and this and this and this. And okay, like we'll piece it together. And it's like it really is like the last day when you put those finishing touches up where you're like, oh, now I see what we were working on together. It's kind of fascinating to see people light up and they're like, oh my gosh, like I can see my hand in this and why you asked me to do this and how all these elements can work together, And
so I feel like that's also another sort of payoff as well. It's nice. Even you get paid for your work, but then you see this thing and it's like, I find that world a lot more interesting than like what I do. Sometimes it's just me pressing buttons, but real quick, we'll just go down the line. I want you guys to plug yourselves. So tell us what you guys are working on, where I can find you guys' work and all that stuff. What do you got going on, Marcey?
Again, like I said, maybe earlier, I'm prepping for this tour. Kickoff is September 8th. So, just getting ready for that. We got some development projects here at Culxr House that we're working on, acquiring a property and expanding into some other things. So that's what's going on. You know what I mean? Just I
love it.
Continue what we've been doing.
Well, thank you for all your work, man. I mean, it's inspiring. When I found out you were doing this, I was like, I need to figure out how to get involved. And so and then I had a kid and life got crazy. But now
it did happen.
Now we're settled and we're ready to. I'm ready to be more involved for sure. So we'll talk. Sarah, I know you mentioned the Wisconsin project you had, but tell us a little bit about, because I know you have some local stuff like at the Joslin, right? Or no?
Yeah. I'm in the current show at Joslin Art Museum with the performance on September 11th. I painted some sailboat sails that'll be used as costume and props for that. So that's the current show that's up here. I also just moved into Joslin Castle as their artisan resident, so I'll be there for the next 6 months making stuff. I'll be doing some pop-ups. I'll hit you guys up if you want to
100%
collaborate. But please come visit me in my studio.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
it's awesome. David, were your shows planned?
What do I have coming up? I feel as if I have some shows in September. Follow me on Instagram. I'm David the Gay. Outside of that, I do contract marketing, contract IT work, contract business operations. I also handle all the marketing for Hightower Ref Law. If you guys need a family attorney, estate planning attorney, divorce your spouse, come and use us.
Honey, I love you. I love you,
all
honey.
of those things. Jack of all trades, master of none.
I love it. I love it.
If you're looking for me, you can find me with my company Joy Brings Light. I'm on Instagram at Joy Brings Light. My website, which just rebranded and dropped today, is joybringslight.com. And if you want to email me, it's joybringslight@gmail.com. It's easy to get a hold. It's easy to get a hold of me.
Joy Brings Light.
In that, I do a few different things, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this moment that I kind of heard was a recurring thing is public speaking. I'm a professional public speaker, and I actually do training and coaching on public speaking with confidence. So if that's something that you're interested in, please feel free to reach out, particularly for groups or teams.
Heck yeah, that's great.
I love it, guys. Listen, I've got a million other things to talk about, so I'm gonna try to invite you guys back when we have some more time, maybe at a different location. But I'll definitely, Andrea Joy's. She already knows.
Clearly a series regular. So if you're
How many
wondering more about what I
episodes have you
do,
been
go
on?
back to the first.
This is gonna actually end up being rebranded to her. This is gonna be her thing, and she's gonna be having me on like once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, no, but I am very grateful because I feel like I've got some new friends now, and hopefully we'll stay in touch. I would like to have you guys on again because this conversation needs to keep going because I've got a million more questions. Like you said, you were saying you do all this other marketing and stuff like that, so I want to hear about it. I know you got a million things. I want to hear more from you, Sarah, especially just because like I don't know you guys as well, but it means the world to me that you guys were able to let us use Culxr House and that you guys could take the time and sit down with us. If anybody knows me, I could ask questions for days, but it's about that time, and we're actually 4 minutes over. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll check you next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yep, I appreciate you guys. All right, cut.
1, 2, 3, 4.